on a Sal Pal Friday. Hey, Eagles fans, fuel up for game day at Dunkin Donuts. DD Perks members score a medium hot or iced coffee for $1 every Eagles game day. Just use your Perks Enroll DD card. Eagle fans run on Dunkin', as does Sal Paolantonio, who joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda hotline. That is true, Sal. You run on Dunkin'.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Everybody in my family kind of does, really.
I'll tell you. You remember that game last year down there in Carolina when that Thursday night? I mean, that kind of was a table setter for this team kind of being a team that people believed in.
I really do. It was a pivotal moment in my book, Philly Special, the inside story of how the Eagles won their first Super Bowl championship. And that chapter was one of the more complex chapters of the book because it was a short week and the Panthers were riding high and very few people thought that the Eagles would win. I believe Lane Johnson was out of that game. Fletcher Cox had just come back from an injury, and a lot of people were concerned. It was Thursday night football, and that was a real coming out party for Carson Wentz. It really was a tremendous performance by the young quarterback.
By the way, the book is excellent. We finished it up here, and it's sitting right in my office right here, Sal Paolantonio's Philly Special book. We're getting to the holiday season, people, so think about that while you're putting your Christmas list together. All right, we got a lot.
Thank you. And by the way, Mike, we just got a contract for an audio book. It's very rare that they do audio books for sports books, but the people who put together audio books contacted us and said because of the strong sales, they want to have something done rather quickly. So if your agent calls you and says, hey, Sal Pal has reached out to you to narrate one of the chapters, please say yes.
I was just going to say, are you going to narrate it, or I know someone with a really cool voice that could do it?
Yeah. A lot of people had suggested to me that I do narrate it, that it would be kind of cool because when an author narrates his own book, plus a lot of the book is in the first person. If you read it, And it'd be kind of weird if somebody else was reading, I said this, I thought that.
Right. Well, if you need some money, my voice is available for you, Sal, anytime.
And you got a great voice.
Thank you, pal. All right, let's look at this game because they lose last week in Washington. It seems like the whole league this year is significantly different on the road, more so than in past years. The Eagles very good at home. Carolina struggles on the road. They had the game where they had a 63-yard field goal against the Giants. So we look at this Carolina team. What is the matchup for the Eagles offense? Where can they exploit that Panthers defense that's what they're known for?
I think that they'll have no problem with the Panthers defense. The Panthers defense got Thomas Davis back, and he is certainly a handful. But they had no problem last year with this Panthers defense. I think the matchup that they can really exploit is Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz and Carson Wentz have really developed a special connection. And you and I have talked about this on this program. The way the game is being officiated, the middle of the field has never been more wide open. And for a guy like Ertz, who's really capable of running precise routes, and a guy like Wentz, who can deliver an accurate ball with a lot of velocity, that's a win-win. And, he's got 48 catches, second most in the league, most of any tight end. So I anticipate that they'll be able to control the middle of the field. The real issue for them has been getting down the field. They just don't have that guy. Mm-hmm. Alshon doesn't have the explosiveness that he once did. But again, Alshon can, with his size and catch radius and his ability to catch the ball, really control the middle of the field. And, that means there's going to be some long drives, Mike.
I had
There's going to be some long drives.
Ertz was the guy, too, so I'm glad we agree on that one. Look at Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, Funches. Watch the Eagles' defense against this Panthers offense. Where's the matchup there?
Well, I think the number one matchup has got to be Funches. I mean, if given some room and some time, that can be an explosive matchup for Cam Newton. And the Eagles right now, their secondary is hurting. Sidney Jones is not going to play in the game. Avante Maddox is coming off of a little nick-up injury, and he's, to me, he's still undersized to play that free safety spot. So that's where I think the big matchup is.
It is this Sunday. You can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Merrill and Mike have the call starting at 1. Who is Sal Pal's offensive player to watch in the game Sunday?
It's got to be Christian McCaffrey. I think on both sides of the ball, McCaffrey is the true explosive player. You got to key on him. He leads the Panthers in both rushing and receiving. He's averaging 14.2 yards a carry, 4 per catch, and he benefits tremendously from the attention defenses have to pay to Cam Newton as a runner. So Newton's averaging I think 9 carries a game, 10 carries a game. He had 9 for 43 with 6 first downs against the Redskins in that loss. So if you have to account for Cam Newton, that leaves a lot of running room for Christian McCaffrey. So that zone read that they run is important. And the Eagles are hurting at defensive tackle. Haloti Ngata's got this injury that's been limiting him in practice. They really only have 2 healthy, experienced defensive tackles.
Yeah, and it was interesting because McCaffrey in the game last year, I feel like they didn't know what to do with him yet. Like he has a much more defined role for them now.
Well, that's because Norv Turner is the offensive coordinator this year, and Norv is known for using the running back in multiple ways.
Sal, defensive player to watch. There's a lot of interesting ones in this one because, as you mentioned, the Eagles are so banged up, especially in the secondary and across the front of that defensive line.
Well, it's got to be Brandon Graham. Because they're going to double Fletcher Cox. So I'm interested to see where Jim Schwartz moves Brandon Graham around the line of scrimmage. You got to get him in one-on-one matchups that he can exploit. If they do that, that's your best option against Cam Newton. That's one. And 2 has to be Nigel Bradham, because Nigel Bradham is going to have his hands full with Olsen, but he's also going to have one eye in the backfield to make sure Cam Newton doesn't run free.
Last year, Newton, 28 of 52, 3 interceptions in the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. So they got to him pretty well last year and did a good job. All right, Sal Pao's 3 keys to the game, Eagles-Panthers.
Oh, this number one is if the Eagles don't turn the ball over, they'll win the game comfortably. So that's obvious. And the number one is, going in, it's always a big thing. But in this, they have such an obvious mismatch with their offense against that defense. If they don't turn it over, they can move the ball down the field successfully and score. Number 2 is don't let Cam beat you with his legs. McCaffrey's going to get his touches. He averages 14.2 carries a game. And if you limit him, Newton that is, then you'll be able to handle McCaffrey, I think. If Newton is running free, that's going to be a long day for your defense. And then 3, when you get to the red zone, get touchdowns and not field goals.
Eagles seemed like they were moving in that direction against the Giants on Thursday night, where it seemed like they got their mojo back on the offensive side of the ball. We'll see how they go. Sal, which player on the Panthers will give the Eagles the most problems? Who scares you the most on that team?
Yeah, I have already mentioned Christian McCaffrey, but I think it's Thomas Davis. Thomas Davis, is back from his 4-game suspension. He's got fresh legs. He can blow up a lot of plays, so you have to account for him on the field at all times.
All right, I want to get your quick thought on that Dallas-Washington game, too.
Yeah.
Either one of those teams have the staying power to go neck and neck with Philly.
Listen, I think the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Redskins are going to be in a dogfight for the NFC East right down to the end. Yes. I think the Giants have been – we played Elimination Thursday with the Giants, and they're eliminated. I think, the Redskins – and I think I've said this to you before on this very program, they're a different team with Alex Smith because Kirk Cousins turned the ball over so much and Smith does not. That keeps them in a lot of games. The Cowboys' defense, they're second in the league in points allowed. They're only giving up 17 points a game. They got a lot of sacks, 18 sacks. Their D-line is playing at a very, very high level, but they can't win away from Dallas. They're 0-3 away from Dallas. And I think the Redskins will beat the Cowboys on Sunday. And this will become, this division will not really define itself until November 11th when the Cowboys come into the Lincoln Financial Field on that Sunday night game and play the Eagles for the first time this year. And, it's kind of funny because usually the Eagles travel to Dallas first, and Dallas comes here late in December.
Yeah.
This year, Dallas comes here. That's not good for Dallas. Not good at all.
We're actually giving tickets away to that game next Sunday. Remember, you have a chance to win those Eagles-Cowboys Sunday.
Wait a second. You're giving away tickets to the game for the Eagles-Cowboys?
Eagles-Cowboys Sunday Night Football, yes.
Nice.
Big one. You
Very
just said
nice.
it. It's going to define the NFC.
Oh, yeah. That's to me, that's the number one game of the year, without a doubt. It will define the division, and it won't eliminate the Cowboys or the Eagles, but it'll begin to really define the division. No question. Biggest game of the year.
All right. Let's get Sal Pal's official pick. When the Eagles win, you win at Dunkin Donuts. So will we have Eagles fans drinking dollar brew all over the Delaware Valley on Monday?
Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to win this game 28-20.
28-20.
Yep, 28-20. I don't see the Panthers doing a whole lot to stop the Eagles' offense at the link.
All right, Sal Paolantonio here on the Sal Pal Friday on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. You will be in Philly, I imagine.
Oh yeah, baby.
You have the Tex-Mex draft all ready for Dougie P?
Yeah, oh yeah. Don't forget.
And Sal Pal ESPN on the Instagram to get the notes before the game right there on Instagram. Sal Pal ESPN.
I give it away on Sal Pal ESPN on Instagram before it goes on SportsCenter. Yeah, if you want to know what's going on with the Eagles, that's where you get it first.
All right, keep me in mind for your voice of your book, pal.
Okay, Michael.
All right, Sal, take care.